Oh, okay.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another Bourbon-n-Blockchain Happy Hour. Welcome, everyone. Make sure that you guys hit the like and subscribe button tonight while you're listening. And we're going to start a format tonight where we're going over everything that's going on in the market. We're going to talk about recent news over the last week. And we're also going to, just give some opinions and some ideas and some different light and different angles on different things that are going on in the crypto market. So without further introduction, Myron, why don't we go ahead and just start getting into it?
Okay, so the first topic we do have is crypto going mainstream, and I bet a lot of people who watched the Super Bowl also saw a bunch of crypto exchange commercials, and so it's getting a lot of ears and eyes on crypto, and people, in the mainstream. I've been hearing that people were saying that crypto is a scam because you wouldn't be having ads for the real money, but these are not ads for Bitcoins, ads for these exchanges. So let me pull up. As I pull up, if you guys can talk about the real quick, the article that BlackRock has.
Well, yeah, that's it's very counterintuitive for people's arguments of what they have. They're saying that if crypto was legitimate, there wouldn't be commercials for it. That literally absolutely makes no sense at all. Anything and everything that gets to a point where they could have commercials at the Super Bowl has to be somewhat legitimate. Like it has to have some legitimacy to it. So I think that that's kind of a moot argument in itself.
Yeah, I think also you're seeing a lot of A-list celebrities get into it. You got Tom Brady buying Bitcoin. You got Aaron Rodgers buying Bitcoin. You got Matt Damon doing a crypto.com commercial. So, I mean, we see a lot of influencers on Twitter with like 20,000 followers, and that can move the market. But when you see the big boys come out like this, people are going to take notice, and if they're doing it, if Aaron Rodgers is doing it, it kind of becomes the cool thing to do. If Tom Brady's doing it, then it becomes the cool thing to do. So I think we are on the cusp of seeing more and more adoption. There's still barriers that need to be overcome, but we're getting closer and closer.
Well, and Myron's pulling up a really good example of one of those barriers. This is a really good article for him to bring up. BlackRock being one of the largest asset holders in the world, they have over $10 trillion in assets, and they're getting into crypto. They're officially putting their name in the hat. We're getting into crypto. That's pretty bullish news, not only for them, but for the whole crypto space.
Yeah, and I also saw in that article. So the system or the product that BlackRock is coming out with is that you can use your crypto as collateral and take loans out against that. Now I know you can do that with a 401k, but can you do that with a mainstream, or can you do that with a normal stock account, or is this going to be something that's unique to crypto?
I don't know. I think it would be unique to crypto, wouldn't you think?
Yeah,
Until they hit that spot ETF for Bitcoin and Ethereum.
yeah. So I mean that's a huge advantage because my understanding is if you just have a normal stock account with like TD Ameritrade, I don't think you can borrow against that, can you? But BlackRock's saying you can do that with your Bitcoin or your Ethereum, and so that's going to be a huge advantage. You know, that's just another financial instrument that people can use, and there's a lot of advantages to that. You don't necessarily have to sell your Bitcoin or Ethereum; you can just borrow against it, and that's with your stocks. If you just have a normal stock account and you need money in a pinch, you have to liquidate. You have to liquidate that. So I think this BlackRock thing could be huge.
There's another news that could be related to this. I don't know if you guys heard that they actually found the people who there was a hack a couple of years ago on
Hmm.
Bitfinex.
Yep.
And I mean, the couple that got caught, I don't think they're directly responsible for the hack, but they are responsible for trying to launder the money. And if you look at the social media, I think the girl's trying to be a rapper, but it's just the most terrible rap you can ever hear. But they recovered, I think at that time, probably hundred something million. We're in the 100 million area, but now that Bitcoin is worth over, I think right now it says 4.5 billion. So one thing that people were kind of discussing now is what is the U.S. gonna do with this money? Are they going to give it back to Bitfinex, which I don't think they'll go to their route because I think they're not really friendly. Is a F? What's that exchange that starts with a F? Something FX. but I think
FTX?
FTX, yes, Bitfinex is connected with the FTX. So there's some drama there. So I don't know if they'll do that. They were also talking about the option to give the coins back to the holders, but that's also going to be extremely hard, and they have to work with FTX or Bitfinex to do that. Another option is what they did before, is just to auction off these coins. And it's just what we're talking about. If BlackRock's eyeing it, they're gonna love it if it goes to the auction, because they're gonna sweep up a bunch of these Bitcoins.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, well, two things to hit on there, and the BlackRock news that we were talking about. If BlackRock put 5% of their overall holdings out of the 10 trillion, if they put 5% into all of crypto, it doesn't matter what they put it in, but just all of crypto, that's $500 billion. That's 1/4 of the entire market that we have for all of crypto right now. So that's just something to think about. 5% of their total assets invested into crypto would be 1/4 of the entire market right now. That's pretty big business. But yeah, I mean, I think that because there was a crime committed and it was stolen, technically it should be returned. The only reason why that would be affected is if that exchange somehow has already recouped their losses, because then now that money would be in limbo because their right to it would be kind of forfeited to an extent. But I don't know all those details. That's a lot of details. But I would think they would give it back.
Why would they have trouble giving it back, Myron?
To actually track who got it stolen from, so they will have to work with exchange.
Okay,
I thought it was
who
stolen
actually
from the
lost it.
exchange.
Yeah, it's kind of funny how that works, because if they wanted to tax it, I think they'll be able to find everybody who they want to find, but when it comes time to give it back,
They'll
it's a little
find you.
I mean, if I was the government, finders keepers, I won't give any of this back. I'm just gonna take it. But as we're talking about crypto, definitely crypto, not just Bitcoins, but crypto as a whole, is getting attention. And I know China's making their own coins, and now there's news that they're designing their own dollars, own crypto.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was to be expected, right? And it's smart on their part. I take this overall as good news in the sense that we're heading in a direction of adoption by the government rather than trying to fight it. So that doesn't mean to say that they're not still fighting it. I guess what I'm saying is that at least this is positive news that they're trying to figure out a way to work with it instead of against it. I'm not 100% convinced that they're going to do it the right way. They're going to find the best way. I could see them saying that if you're in the U.S., you have to only use our, U.S. dollar-backed digital currency. But does that destroy all of crypto? No, it just makes it more difficult.
Yeah, I saw another article, or I think I was watching Jerome Powell speak live, and one thing he said was that privately issued stable coins, they'll still have a place in the ecosystem. It's not going to replace stable coins. So just reading between the lines, I think the future will be the mainstream centralized exchanges will be using the new Fed coin. And I think like Tether and USDC and DAI and all that, I think those will still exist mostly on the decentralized exchanges. Because I think the Fed will say, if you want to be a centralized exchange, you're going to be regulated and you're going to use Fed coin. And I think it will be a good thing because it'll give it legitimacy. People are going to say, oh, there's a government coin. So this is legitimate. This isn't just for the black markets. Regular people are using this now. So I think it'll be huge. It could be as big as the BlackRock thing just because it'll change people's perception so much.
Right.
In crypto, once the U.S. government puts their stamp of approval on it.
Yep.
And also businesses won't be as afraid of it either, So it could be one of the biggest pieces of news in 2022 as far as what moves Bitcoin's price.
Yeah, I mean, being somebody that, kind of pays attention and listens to these huge investors and these big companies, I personally believe the number one thing that's holding back the crypto market, the number one thing is lack of regulation clarity. Once that gets accomplished, if the US government came out tomorrow and said, everybody can buy, sell, and trade crypto. We're never going to get rid of it. Here's our, our Fed designed digital dollar that we're going to accept. And here's the regulations and the guidelines of what you're going to do and how you're going to be taxed going forward. I think when that day happens, you're going to see the mass adoption that has always been talked about happen immediately. Like huge companies are going to get into crypto. And the only reason why they're not doing it is because there's no clear regulation and they don't want to be uncertain with their money. I mean, some people will put 5% or 10% of their overall worth into something, and that's a thousand or 10,000, $100,000. But when you're talking about billions, tens of billions of dollars, that's a huge risk for a company. So I think they want that regulation and that clarity before investing in such a risky asset.
Yeah, and you get the feeling that the IRS, which of course is connected to the central bank, they're almost kind of one and the same. You get the feeling that they're kind of welcoming this adoption. Like, I mean, the last 5 or 6 years, it feels like there was always this kind of libertarian fantasy that Bitcoin would separate us from central banking, but it actually feels like the opposite's true. I think central banks are welcoming this. I mean, for the most part, I like to be optimistic about Bitcoin and everything, but I think the downside to FedCoin will be that I think a lot more of our transactions, our digital transactions, will be tracked. So that'll be the downside. And I think that's why the IRS and the central bank is kind of being lenient with cryptocurrency. But the upside is FedCoin is it's going to be a huge boom for the market.
Yep, I agree.
So as we're talking about this, before we go into the next article, I do want to, kind of segue into it by just looking at the general market, because, I mean, today, I don't know if you guys were watching it, but SP 500 really dropped. Now, unfortunately, right now, the crypto as a whole does kind of follow the market, and there needs to be a decoupling. I feel like sooner or later that, hey, what happens in the stock market shouldn't affect crypto that much. And if Bitcoin is to be seen as a hedge, then it really shouldn't be dragged down by the market. But today there was worries on Friday that Russia is going to invade Ukraine, and I think this morning there was another party article or some news that came out that says, hey, this is actually going to happen. I think later on in the afternoon they said it's not going to happen. So the market is just going crazy. There's a lot of volatility, and right now, the Bitcoin did drop below 42,000, I think, for a bit, and now it's back up in crypto as a whole. So basically, for the past couple months, at least for Bitcoin, we've been bleeding since early November, and we've been this huge downtrend that kind of got broken, but everything was looking good. I think we're expecting this 42,000 retest, but now it's very, very shaky, because I personally think there's not going to be a war, but if something does happen, the price is going to tank. But looking at long term, I want to pull up this article that says a research firm predicted it will hit 200,000 in the second half of 2022. But the thing is, same people, there's people who's been saying that Bitcoin is going to hit $100,000 last year, and it's nowhere close to that. So what's your guys' opinion on this article?
I think it's throwing dice or reading bones or tea leaves, right? It's the same thing. I think predicting out that far is disingenuous unless you know something that other people don't know. Like right now, if you were to ask anybody that I respect what's going on in the market and where we're going to be tomorrow, the answer is I don't know. And the reason why is because there's so much uncertainty in the market. There's uncertainty in the numbers. We're between, what is it, the 50 day and the 200 day, and we're not really showing enough momentum in either direction. So I think that's what you should be focused on, is more of the immediate, and pay attention to the overall, what's going on, but don't get so hyper focused on 12-month predictions, because at the end of the day, those are just predictions. I think you should pay attention more to the short term and make sure that you're following the all of the different market signs.
Yeah. Last thing I want to become is a YouTuber who screams out $200,000 Bitcoin. But if it does happen, it will probably be something like the BlackRock and the Fed coin that we just talked about. But we really don't know the timeline of those. I mean, the Federal Reserve, it could take them over a year or even 2 years to actually come out with their coin. And the BlackRock thing, we don't know when that's actually going to be implemented. Those are just future plans. But sometimes those things take a long time to actually execute. So I definitely am not going to predict $200,000 Bitcoin in 2022. I mean, it's possible, but you're just throwing stuff at the wall. Who knows?
Well, I will say that I just looked at that chart. It confused me, Myron, because TradingView is updated faster than other charts. So if you bring that back up really quick, it looks like almost $2 billion got thrown onto the Bitcoin market in the last couple minutes. Like since we started this at 729 till now, over $2 billion was thrown on there and the price just jumped up. You see that green candle?
Oh, are you looking at the
Yep.
volume? I don't know words.
Yeah, right. That green candle right there. So before we started this, Bitcoin was at 42,400, 42,500, and it just jumped up to 43,500 ish. And now it's yeah. So that's moving pretty quick for Bitcoin with with almost a $1 trillion market cap on its own.
Yeah, I mean, even just the market itself today, there was some insane candles coming in.
Yeah.
I know this is low time frame, but it tanked all the way down to 435. I think it was almost gonna break the pre-market lows, but huge volume came in and drove it up a little bit. So the volatility is insane, and I think day traders, scalpers probably love this market, but anyone that's swing trading it, you have your stop losses, you can get hit both ways unless you go out long expiration. But I feel like right now there's, just like you said, Draco, there's so much guessing that you don't really know where it's exactly going to go. And if you're long-term bullish, your dollar cost averaging into these coins, then I think right now, it's dollar cost average is always going to be okay. But
Yep.
if you're due, I wouldn't, this is a personal opinion, of course, not financial advice, but I wouldn't go all in right now here because
Nope.
you never know what's going to happen in this market. It can go up, but it comes down.
Yeah, I agree.
So let's move to actually some the things that happened in the DeFi space or even the crypto space. I think one of the first one that's kind of a big news is the Gala music nodes. I think Smokey did buy some, and Smokey does also have the Gala gaming nodes. Is that what they call it? I don't have
Yeah,
it.
the founder
Those.
node.
Yeah, but can you go into a little bit about what you feel about those? Why you bought and so on?
So the Gala music node, it's a lot more speculative than even the gaming node. But the way it works is, so a node is $1,200, and there's not a whole ton of information about it right now. We know that each node can stream one song at a time, and that you're going to get rewards based on how many people listen to music from your node. So where it gets interesting though is so you buy the node for 1,200, then they signed Snoop Dogg, so he's the first example of how this is going to work. Snoop came out with an NFT album. It looks like each song on the album is $5,000 each, so that's a ton of money. But if you buy the NFT, you stake it to your node, and now you have streaming rights to that song on your node. So your node's going to be able to like stream a bunch of like normal songs that everybody has access to. But then if you buy an NFT, then you'll be able to stake that, and you and the other NFT holders will have the exclusive ability to just stream just that particular song. Is it going to be profitable? I have no idea. It's definitely interesting though. It shakes things up in the music industry. I like that about it. And if you're an artist, my understanding is, they're not making that much money in the streaming business. So it's like, what do you got to lose? If you're getting most of the cut of these NFT sales, it might be worth it. I read one article where Maroon 5 was also signed on, and other bands of that caliber. So it could be a really big thing. I bought a node as a pure speculative play. Like I said, Gala hasn't even released the reward structure yet. Also, another thing to remember is it's not going to be Gala coin. There's going to be a new coin called the Gala music coin. So there's that too. We don't know even how much that's going to be worth, but it is a really interesting story, just because Snoop's involved, and it could really shake up the music industry.
Yeah, I think it has potential, but I don't. I miss the gala boat, so I feel, that's it's not the right mentality to have, but it's almost like it's almost out of reach, especially like a full gala node. It's out of reach for me personally, financially.
Yeah, and another thing, one thing I don't like about this play is, like with the Gala founders nodes, there's 50,000, and that's the most nodes that are ever going to be online for the video game. For the music node, there's no cap, so there's no reason to really FOMO into this. I think you can just kind of wait around and see how it plays out. And if it is successful, then more and more people are going to buy the node, and then you're going to be competing with more and more people, for the listens. So I don't think there's any reason to like treat this like a gold rush. It's more
Right.
just interesting to see if this works for the music industry.
Are there any rewards right now, or you just have the node?
I just have the node. They haven't even released the software yet, so it's more
Okay,
just kind of a news item.
I see. And have you played the Gala games that they have? Are those actually good?
You
I
know, I
never played
haven't
any of that.
I haven't played one yet. I bought a bar in the metaverse for Legends Reborn, and that's going to be like a Magic the Gathering game, and I'll be hosting that in my bar. But I haven't actually played anything yet. The games do look interesting. I mean, they signed Halo, which I used to play in college. They
Mm.
have the Walking Dead license for AMC's Walking Dead, so there's going to be some kind of zombie game. And then the big one, their signature game is going to be Mirandus, which is just World of Warcraft on the blockchain. So I haven't played any of these yet. I don't even think any of these are out yet, but I plan on giving them a shot.
Yeah, I don't have any gala nodes, but I may or may not have a couple strong tokens sitting around. So I'm looking to maybe make a deal. You never know.
So talking about strong, so they're supposed to have the strong chain up soon, and the strong price today, I think it dropped as low as 330s and got bought up pretty quick. But do you have any feels how the strong chain is gonna be? I feel like it could be make or break for strong.
Yeah, I think Strong has a lot of big ideas, and I think they're going to do well. They're going to execute well. One thing that they've always done is test, test, retest, and make sure that whatever they're doing is done properly and is vetted prior to letting it go and releasing it. I think that's almost to a fault with them, and I think that they announce things a little bit too early sometimes. But I also think that also might have to do with some, trying to drive prices and speculation on their own project. Like for example, FTM was announced several months ago, and it's still not there yet. But me as an investor, I'm not worried about that because I'm already invested in the project. That affects mostly people that are getting into the project. So, I mean, I don't know. I personally think that they're long term. I'm long term bullish on the project, and I think they're going to do just fine. I think that there's going to be ups and downs, just like any project. But the team behind that project is so solid, and what they're doing has so much utility that I'm not really too worried about in the short term.
I know
Yeah,
you recommended before that you partially take profits on your strong and you also compound some of it, right? So are
Yeah,
you still compounding, trying to make more nodes at this time?
I'm actually so when the price is under. So this is very very speculative, and it's not advice at all. So if the price is under 450, I make more nodes than typical. So I'm actually compounding more because the price is lower. And as the price goes higher, then I take more profits. So because I don't want to miss out on profits, right? But right now, if I were to start selling tokens at this price, in my opinion, that's like I'm losing money, if you will. Because personally, if you look at the chart, based on what it's capable of, like right now, it's at a low, it's at an all-time low for the last 8 months. So I would not sell right now. That wouldn't be a very good move. So I would wait and hold until it goes back up personally, because I think that right now, if you sell your tokens, you're selling for a loss.
Yeah, I'm bullish on strong chain. Well, first off, I think it's the only way to make this sustainable. I mean, a lot of these nodes, I think he hasn't come out and said what's going to happen yet, but it sounds like we're going to have the option to convert some of our nodes into validator nodes. And when they become validator nodes, the rewards, they might be less. I doubt they'll be as high as they are now, but I'll feel a lot better about having a validator node for the long term, or multiple validator nodes. And I think it'll work because the community they have such a strong community. The strong ecosystem has influencers. It has a grassroots community. It has everything you need. It's the top brand in DeFi right now. And it's going to have sustainable revenue. When people make a transaction on Strong Chain, there'll be a gas fee, and those fees will go to the node holders, and that's sustainable revenue. That's all you really want. That's all you can ask for. And I think David Moss is the guy to pull this off. And because DAS is the big thing right now, DeFi as a service. But I mean, that might make those projects last a little bit longer than if you were just doing nodes as a service. But the only way to last permanently is to have your own chain, and I think it'll
engineering
work.
And all of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, my last comment on it would be, I ultimately think that all of these projects that came out and did very poorly and took a lot of people's money, what they're going to eventually find out is, well, what should I invest in? If that wasn't the right project, what should I have invested in? And what they're ultimately going to come to the conclusion of is, man, I should have just invested in this Strong project if I want to get into a node project. And that's going to bring more attention to Strong long term. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
And a lot of these new projects, even though the prices of them, some of them went up way high, but the thing is, sometimes you zoom out on the chart, they're only being around a month, sometimes 2 months at most.
Mm-hmm.
And Strong has been around for, is it over a year now? We're close to
over
a year now.
Over a year.
So that longevity, that's that time in crypto, I think that's a very, very long time, because so much can happen so quick. And we also know from back even in December that a lot of these nodes that were doing well price wise eventually died, bled off real quick. Some of them rug, some say, hey, we can't do it anymore, and quit. So Strong is the one that stuck through it and is still going. And again, like you said, the team is very, very experienced. And not to say, I have anything against these new projects or even the people behind these projects, but a lot of these projects are ran by very young people, some people in the colleges, and some people are in high school, I know. And so they can have the coding experience, but the real world, I think the experience that they get just with age, even that people like David Moss and the team from Strong have, they lack that. So they will either need to hire that, or there's something that they need to learn. And this is why I'm comfortable with still accruing Strong. And I have a personal goal that I want to get to compound to. So I haven't taken any profit yet. And it doesn't worry me that much with Strong. I don't wake up and check the price of Strong every single day. There's some of these coins I do check. So it's a project I do like, and I like that they're making these steps. They're because I know there's projects that call Strong now for not being innovative, but if they can make this Strong chain work, it's gonna be very innovative, because they'll be the first one to make it happen.
Yeah, and no one's going to be able to copy Strong Chain, I don't think. I mean, because it's not just the engineering. You need a community behind it. You need influencers to be behind it. You need the grassroots supporters to be behind it. And let's be honest, only Strong has that. If you're on Twitter, Strong has a great community, and that's why I'm so bullish on Strong Chain. I just think everyone's going to support it. I think DeFi projects are going to want to tap into that support, and they'll use Strong Chain, and there will be a lot of transactions on the chain, and that will feed the nodes. So I think the future's bright. Yep.
Bullish.
So we are changing, as we said, we're changing the format of this show a little bit. We're trying to keep it a little bit shorter, unlike, the past 2 weeks, as we're still trying to discover what's the best way to do this. So we might keep it shorter, maybe have 2 shows rather than 1 a week. So to finish up this week, I do want to, if we can, go talk about some of these new projects in the DeFi space, some of these nodes they're hot again, unlike December when everyone, every single node is failing. Now they're getting attention. So there's bunch of them popping out. And this is not exactly a node, but I do want to talk about this one. that I know. I think Smokey, you got into. So Playa, I don't even know how to say it. Playa Bowl, Playa 3.0. So this is what they're trying to do is they're copying Gala exactly, right? 50,000 nodes, and as you buy more nodes, the price of this goes higher and higher. And of course, right now there's not what under 10% being sold. And I think the price got started was about I remember seeing it around the $600 range. Of course, I didn't get any, and I don't know if did they fix the issue where they're not paying out the token yet.
Oh yeah,
I'm not
they're
in
just
there.
airdropping it. Yeah,
Okay.
I've been getting airdrops on schedule as they stated. Yeah, this is the first one. It's different than other clones you see because they're cloning Gala, which is a totally different animal than cloning Strong. I mean, it's interesting. The team put up their LinkedIn accounts. I went to the CEO's account. He's been running an NFT business since 2015. When you go to the website, you only see one NFT project. It's called Space Dwarfs. And when I looked at that on OpenSea, it looks like they sell from 50 to 150 bucks. But other than that, I don't know a whole lot about it. And then they had a game dev listed, uh, but he didn't have a LinkedIn account, so I couldn't see what games he's created in the past. So this is a really speculative one. It's interesting to bring up just because they're using Gala's model, which is just a lot different than anything else we've seen out there. But right now, I'd probably have to classify it as a degen play. It's worth keeping an eye on, but I would say it's degen right now.
Yeah.
And I don't want to go on and say like I'm like a fudder, right? Like people will say that like I don't support so many projects or that I talk negative about projects. I try not to. I guess the thing is that like for example, I'm all in for Smokey and Myron to get into that project or any project that we talk about. The issue that I have is that I don't want to encourage new people to get into these projects because if you don't know enough about this market, if you're not educated enough in crypto, you might get into this when it's at 40,000 nodes or 45,000 nodes and buy 10 of them and expect to get your money back within a certain period of time, and that might not happen. So just make sure you're educated and that you understand what it is you're investing into and all of the intricacies about that project prior to investing into it, which I know you guys are doing. I'm not worried about your investments. I'm worried about the people that don't understand crypto.
Yeah,
I'm personally not in this. When I saw it, I think all I saw was the token, and I didn't really know too much about it. And if I don't know too much about it, I usually don't even touch it.
with
And
video
yeah,
games, it's pretty cut and dry. I mean, what video games have you made in the past? And when you go to the
Right.
site, I couldn't find it. I mean, did you make Call of Duty? Did you make Madden? Did you make Fortnite?
Nope.
Whatever you've made in the past. And Gala, their devs were in games of that caliber. If you go to the site, so that's why that blew up pretty quick. But with this one, I couldn't. They do have a dev listed. His last name wasn't on there, and there was no link to his LinkedIn account. So it's video games. I mean, you've either made good games or you haven't. So maybe their plan is to get the money and then just try to sign some big gaming devs. I don't know, but it's interesting. But I would classify it as very speculative right now.
so with Draco mentioning that, if you're not experienced in this field, don't just FOMO into everything. I think that's a perfect time to talk about the recent launch, and that's got a lot of hype, which is Oxy 5. And I watched this launch personally, and I was ready to buy it because usually these projects, they do decently well in their launch, and if you can get in super early. Oh, this chart is really weird. So if you can get in super early, these you can make a good amount of money, of course, taking profits on these. So what happened with this is I was ready to buy it. They are launching it on Phantom. They're launching on AVAX and also Ethereum.
Oh,
So it's a
multi-chain.
yeah, so multi-chain launch, and they're saying, "Hey guys, we'll give you a heads up right before we launch it." So I was waiting. I have the contract ready. I was going straight through Snow Trace, bypassing Trader Joe's to buy it. So when they launched it, they didn't even give the contract ID. All they said for AVAX was AVAX is live, guys. So when I looked at AVAX one, and I know this is the FTM one, but when I looked at the AVAX one, when they announced it, there was already people buying, and it was already up 50x from where I saw it. It was going up nonstop. So I didn't touch it at all. So I was like, okay, so let me scroll over to FTM. Maybe I can get in on FTM. So while I was watching FTM was the same thing. And the thing about this is that they require you to make a note first before you can even sell any of the tokens. So I think the price for this actually started off as $1. And I just want to do 1 minute chart so I can show you guys what happened here. So all right here, this right here, where it's just nonstop green candles. I was watching this, and the thing is, because no one can make notes on FTM, this essentially for this period of time was just a honeypot because no one can sell. It's all buys. There was 900 something buys and zero sells. And even up here, I was still seeing people selling. I was in Discord, I was saying, if you're buying it here, you're not gonna make it because there's no sales. So which means that it's gonna be a race to take profits or to
Profits.
sell. So what happened here is actually, so as soon as people were able to sell this huge, I mean, this is just one candle,
$500,000.
$500,000, $350,000 sale, then immediately followed by 150,000. But this apparently the dev said it's them selling. It's their contract. They're selling it. They say we have the money. We'll eventually buy back. But what happened here is, I mean, and you buy anywhere up here. When the price is up at one time, I think up here it was 200x from the launch price. Well, it means $200. It launched it at $1. So I think people were still buying, and a lot of people lost a lot of money on this project. There's Twitter, people were just trashing it on Twitter. And I think one of the reasons this was so hyped up because they used the Twitter, the well-known influencers. They said, hey, these people are in our project. They looked at us and they like us, so they use the Twitter, they use the influencers to pretty much pump up, give hype to the project. And this was either a disastrous launch or this is something shady going on. Then the dev did something shady. We can't say either way because we don't have the knowledge. But I would say majority of the people on this, they're at a loss right now, and it's still not doing that well. I know right afterwards it pumped to 70, and if people bought around the 70 area, well, now they're backing loss again. So this is, I think, what Draco was saying, that if you're not experienced with this, you're not experienced with buying these, and buying these it does take some knowledge to buy it, because if you're too late, you're just gonna get killed on slippage. And if you buy on Ethereum network, I know the fee is pretty low right now for gas, but failing transaction, that's hundreds of dollars every single time you try.
Yeah, I mean, I guess my point in this, and this is a really good example, is there's a risk reward ratio when you get into an early project. When you get into an early project, before it launches or prior to it launching or whatever it is, that could be a really good thing, or it could be really bad. There's a huge risk reward ratio, and the only way that you can mitigate that is doing a ton of research and having super high standards. And I guess the example of that would be, a speculative market with a developer team that, and I'm not saying that this is related to this specific project, I'm just giving an example. Investing in a speculative market on a speculative team with no information on who they are, there's no doxing, they don't have documented history, because there's a lot of people that say on their website, I've been involved in 5 projects, but they can't tell you what kind of crap is that. So if those are the type of projects you're investing in, you have more risk than reward. But if you're investing in a project that has a docs team and they've documented where they've come from and they've had successful project launches in the past, now it's less risky to get involved in that project early. So just be very careful of what you're investing into, and don't put too much money into risky rewards because you might lose it. So just be careful of that.
Yeah, I don't really have anything to add. I mean, it's rug or riches when you get in these undoxed nodes early, or even the doxed ones. So you can have safety, or you can it is just high risk or high reward. There's just no way to really mitigate risk in all these nodes. other than doing what Draco said. So
You have
Yeah,
to know how to play it. I think a lot of these projects at launch, people have bots. So if you don't have bots, you're not going to beat it. And this is another launch that happened yesterday, Spookyverse. And you see the price pumped insanely high. But the thing is now, it always has this drawback. So if you're bullish on a node project, if you're bullish on any project, actually, if you know you're not good at buying a launch, and if you at launch you're seeing that, hey, this thing already shot up 20-30x, then I would just wait. If you're bullish on it, to pick it up when it dropped back down. And there are a few projects that goes up and just keeps going up, but the ratio of those versus the one that really pulls back is very, very low. So just know where you're getting into when you're getting into these launches.
I'll say this: I don't think I've ever participated in a public launch that's gone smoothly for a node project. Like it's always been delayed an hour or hours after they say it's going to be delayed, or none of my transactions go through, or there's always some nonsense I'm dealing with where they never seem to go right. I feel like if you're going to take the risk, you're better off just hustling to get whitelist and just hope that you're not getting rugged. And that's not a strategy to make money that's going to work long term, but I just think that's your best bet.
yeah, and don't gamble money that's not liquid funds. You know what I'm saying? So, if you put aside a certain amount of money and say, I'm okay with losing this, and you want to get into speculative plays early like that, that's a great strategy. But if you don't consider any of the money you have as something that you can easily lose, or that's liquid funds that you could throw around and potentially lose, then you shouldn't be investing it into such risky investments.
And it's getting to that point where there is like that lottery mentality. Everybody knows that guy who hit on that one node project and now he's set for life, or he's set for a couple of years at least, and I think that just feeds into this node frenzy where
Right.
everybody wants to get into the next node.
Nah, find yourself a project where you can be slow and steady and accumulating and making a reasonable profit, right? If it's too much too early, it might be too good to be true.
Yep, I agree with that.
Man, but some of these whitelists that you talked about, Smokey, is getting harder and harder to get whitelist. I remember the first one was just the Rome whitelist, where all you had to do was just boost the server. And I got in on that late, where I had a friend that boosted it 8 times or 10 times. Of course, did it after the deadline, so he didn't get any whitelist. And of course, I also talked to people who got the whitelist, and it was to the $1,500 or somewhere around there. It went up as high as $100-something thousand
I,
at the top.
I miss the
But
good old
now,
days.
yeah, but
when you
now
just had to
now the
boost.
wireless now the wireless is insane. So it's not just levels. I know it went eventually from boosting to you have to level up so much. Then it's like you have to be positive in the Discord. You have to chat. The mods
Yeah.
will nominate you for it. And now I know one of the hypest project that's hyped up right now is Hive, and it's just nonstop posting B pawns, and maybe they'll notice you, maybe they'll give you a wireless, but these wireless are intense to get now. I don't even bother anymore, honestly.
Yeah,
Why
I
is
don't participate in any of that anymore. Like, I have too much to do and I value my time too much to jump through these hoops. And I'm not saying that you guys or nobody in this who's going to listen to this should do it, but personally I value my time too much. So if they start asking for all these ridiculous requests, I leave the server. I'm just not interested in that. I don't have the time to dedicate to like sending out a bunch of invites and doing Twitter interactions. I just don't value doing that. I value my time more than that. So I don't engage in any of it.
Yeah, I'm way too ADHD to do all these tasks they send out to. And I do, if I see one I like, I'll spam everybody, and then I just feel bad about spamming all these people.
Yeah.
It's just like eventually, people are just going to start unfriending you if you do that too often.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
so they got to come up. I mean, there's some good to making people hustle. It kind of gives the little guy a way to get in, I guess, without having to pay to play, which is good. But at the same time, there's 10
There's
new
different ways you could do it.
yeah.
I'll say that Nari actually told me about this. There's another project NFT one called Clementine's Nightmare. I think that one's pretty hyped up too. And they had this one thing. I don't know if you ever played the game battle royale, but it's in Discord. Basically, it's all random. Basically, people join, and whoever is all randomized, and there's one person that survives to the end. And so apparently, I didn't see it by myself, but Nari said they did that in this Discord, and the person that won just joined the Discord like right before the game, so they had like few messages. So the mods looked at it, they say, "Hey, we're not going to give it to you because you don't have any interactions with it," and took it away
Oh,
from him and redid it. And that's really messed up to me.
that
It was
sucks.
so it's these whitelists are intense, and I think if you have nothing to do, if you don't have a job and this is all you do, or even people maybe in other countries that they can probably do this and make better money than they would go to work. But yeah, I can't do it either, Jake. Like you said, Jacob, it's just I don't have time for that anymore.
Absolutely. Well, I think that wraps it up, right?
Yep. Yeah, I think we should be good. Oh, let me just mention there's two projects I'll bring up real quick because this is unique because you're talking about doxing and things like that. So this is one project, again, not financial advice, but this is one project I've been looking at since December, early December. So Project Europa, as of this week, I think since Sunday, the full team has been doxed. And they were doing these kind of creative docs where they try to do something funny for each of the team members. So this is one project where every single person is doxed. They will have KYC. They will also have, I think, audit right before the launch. So this is gonna launch probably the end of next month. And I think this project also with I think Hive is some of them is one of the two I'm personally look at. And Hive, there's no Discord right now for Hive, but they do have very good Medium section that goes into a lot of details. I think they have put some efforts into it. I'm still looking into Hive, and so these are the two that I have my eye on. And I think one thing we're if we can close it off, it just I think a lot of these nodes are back again, but the rugs are also back again, and it's kind
Yep.
of reminding me of late November, December type of type of thing.
Those French devs are still at large, so be careful out there.
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right, so I think that's all we have tonight, and thank you guys for coming by. And we're still working on the format. So if you guys have any suggestions or any advice or anything, you guys just let us know how we can do better. And it's great talking to you guys and great having you guys watching.
Absolutely. Yeah. Add us some comments in the Discord. Let us know if you like this format, and we'll keep bringing it to you guys. So thank you guys for coming tonight.
Happy Valentine's Day, everybody.
Happy
Happy
Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day.